Hey guys, welcome back to another great game of CEDH. And today we ask another question that has plagued Magic players since the game has started. What's the threat? I know everyone has a story out there that you either had no lands, no permanents, etc., but people were convinced that you were public enemy number one. Or on the flip side, you had the win, but someone used a piece of removal on something trivial and gave you the game. What or who is the threat is always a hard one, but today you, the viewer, get to voice your opinions. I ask you, who is the threat this game? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you're interested in playing with us, hop on our Discord. We have an ever-growing community and we'll love to talk MTG or whatever strikes your fancy. And another benefit is we often let people know when we play and would love to meet some new people. Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board. Well, starting us off, we have Hidden, playing Sisay Weatherlight Captain. This deck has a few different versions, but this one is Sisay Tutor Chains. This uses Derevi and Emil for infinite mana and tutors, and ultimately wins through Thassa's Demonic Consultation. This is a strong, yet slower combo deck, with a wide array of utility that comes from Sisay's insane ability to tutor out key cards. Next up is Jimmy, and he's still on the spice. And while this is Kenrith, this is actually a 5-color Zozu the Punisher list. It's a stax deck that uses to not only tax the board, but more importantly, his opponent's life total. It uses cards such as mana barbs to punish opponents casting spells, while relying on Kenrith's seemingly unused white ability to gain life and break parity. In the third spot, we have mtga Loots and Winota. This deck seeks to be an explosive stacked combo deck that wants to play non-human creatures early and play its commander, using Winota's ability to cheat creatures into play at an alarming rate and overwhelm the board. The explosive nature of this deck, in combination with its tightly layered combos, allow for the first real opportunity for Burrows to play at the competitive tables. And bringing up the rear, we have Fernando piloting Najeela. This is a 5-color Thassa's Consultation list that backdoors into an infinite creatures and combats combo with Najeela, who, even if just left alone, can amass a horde of warriors to take their opponents out. But without further ado, let's get on to the gameplay. Hidden starts off the game cracking a polluted delta to grab a tropical island. He does shortcut and casts a Bird of Paradise before ending his turn searching. Jimmy has a Taiga and loves his first turn Soul Ring. However, Hidden shuts it down real fast as he pays 2 life to Mental Misstep it. Lutz has a Plains and thinks the coast is now clear for a Soul Ring of his own.
Soul Ring.
When I respawn, I'm gonna pay 2 life.
No!
Oh my god!
I was thinking Mental Misstep so hard.
Sons of bitches.
Why did I just not play Soul Ring?
Fernando likes Hidden's play and cracks a polluted delta for a tropical island. He doesn't have a birds, but casts an ignoble Hierarch. Hidden has a Bloodstained Mire and cracks it this time for a Scrubland. He forgoes Sisay and instead casts an Archon of Emeria to slow the rest of the table down. Jimmy has a tap mana Conflux and doesn't have a play unfortunately, and hands it to Lutz. Lutz has another Plains and ends his turn with a Hope of Gearpour. Fernando plays a tapped Exotic Orchard and decides it's time for some Hierarch Tribal, as this time the Noble one comes out. He heads the Comet and sends the ignoble Hierarch at Jimmy for 2. Hidden plays an untapped Command Tower, and this time casts Sisay. The Captain resolves, and he then heads his turn over to Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't have a land, but casts some ramp as he casts a Priest of Titania. He ends his turn, and at his end step, Lutz Enlightened Tutors for an Arcane Signet, to hopefully get his mana a little more situated. Lutz untaps and has a quick turn, just casting the Tutored Signet. Fernando draws, but doesn't like what he sees. He has a tap Badlands and ends his turn casting Najeela. But at his end step, Hidden casts a Worldly Tutor. He's not sure though what he really wants.
Jimmy, the two of them, they're out of control already.
They're
I'm
menaces.
not so out of control. I play Najeela turn 3. That's not really out of control, I would say.
Najeela's always a threat on a stacks board, which we have. I'd say you're threat number 2, don't get me wrong. But you are a threat.
Hopefully on my turn I could be a threat too.
We'll see what Steve plays to become threat number 1. If Steve doesn't have a land or doesn't play a land drop, I would put him at number 2. But until then, you're number 1, Fernando. And Steve is about to be number 1.
Of course, Rick. I wouldn't expect anything less from you. I'm always number 1, no matter what.
Listen, I mean,
I'm already used to it. Okay.
from the
Don't
original
have to argue
Najeela
about it.
player, I'm
know
the
it.
original Najeela player. I know how the deck plays.
I guess I'm gonna pick Kinnan.
Oh, Steve's the threat.
He noticed.
Right.
Good.
Threats.
It only takes 1 second for Steve to become the threat. And that was it.
It only takes one Kinnan.
Yeah, I
That
wanted,
was a mistake.
I
That was a
wanted to get
mistake.
Dockside, but there's not enough artifacts or enchantments out for Dockside to go positive.
Just
Yeah, 2.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that
if you
doesn't mean
didn't,
Dockside.
if you didn't use your poorly placed mental missteps, you would have been fine.
Yeah, that's true.
This is true.
Hidden untaps and draws and casts a tutored Kinnan. And while this is good, he does end up missing his land drop. He then heads to combat, sending the 4/4 Sisay at Fernando. Jimmy on his turn puts a target on his back as he casts a Mana Gorger Hydra.
For
Ooh.
fuck's sakes, Jimmy.
That's
Alright.
the threat right there. That
That's
thing
the
is
real
huge,
threat.
dude.
Pass.
Hey, at least I'm stopping you from really feeding it. You can only cast
Untap.
something.
That's true.
Feed
Draw.
the fish, guys.
Lutz on his turn feeds the Hydra as he casts a Skyclave Apparition. The Hydra grows, and he ends up exiling the Kinnan, hoping this doesn't just put Fernando at the top. Fernando starts off with combat. He sends Najeela at Hidden with the newly created warrior heading at Jimmy. Also at this time, Hidden's attacked by another feline, as his cat makes an appearance. Blockers are declared, with Jimmy blocking the warrior and Hidden taking the 5 from Najeela. Then, before damage, Fernando activates Najeela for lifelink and an additional combat. On his second combat, Najeela heads at Hidden for 7, and the new warrior heads at Jimmy, who doesn't want to trade his already damaged Hydra, and the pair both take the damage. Fernando then ends his turn with a tapped scrubland.
Alright, Steve,
Oh.
I think we have a new threat master at the table.
Yeah,
Just because I got health?
Yeah.
Jeez.
No, because you got a warrior. And you
Whoa.
can do that again.
It's just
Steve's,
the one.
Steve's in death range at this point. You just did 12 damage from Najeela in 1 combat.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Impressive.
You can hyper strike him.
Hidden draws, but unfortunately doesn't find another land. He casts an Aethersworn Canonist as his 1 spell for turn, throwing the Hydra, and then hits Fernando with Sisay for another 2. Jimmy untaps, and on his upkeep casts a Vampiric Tutor to grow his Hydra and find a card to draw for turn. He obviously didn't tutor up a land and just decides to hand it over to Lutz. Lutz draws, but isn't liking his hand. He's not sure what's correct, but settles on an Imperial Recruiter. The Hydra grows, and Lutz ends up searching out a Simian Spirit Guide, just needing the extra mana. And at his end step, Jimmy abrades the Najeela, growing his Hydra even larger. Fernando contemplates and decides to just recast Najeela, growing the Hydra. He then heads to combat and swings his pumped up warrior and the newly created warrior at Lutz, who trades the fresh warrior for his recruiter. Then on his second main, Fernando ends his turn with a tap flooded Strand. Hidden untaps and likes what he drew as he plays a Gaia's Cradle's land. He debates whether or not he wants to activate Sisay and decides he should just wait, and without having a free attack, just passes it to Jimmy. Jimmy finds a tap Morphic pool off the top and follows it up with a Demonic Tutor. He grows his Hydra and finds a card to hand. Now having grown his Hydra to 8 power, he turns it sideways and sends it at Hidden, who debates blocking it, but after seeing it as trampled, takes the 8. Lutz starts off with a Goblin Crater Maker. This does get a response from Hidden, as he activates Sisay to grab a 2-drop Legend. And that 2-drop ends up being Kalain, Reclusive Painter, who on ETB gives Hidden a treasure. The Crater Maker then resolves with Jimmy's Hydra growing once again, and Lutz passes. Fernando untaps and heads to combat. But before declaring attackers, Lutz activates his Goblin to deal 2 damage to Najeela. Najeela goes back to the command zone, and Fernando sends his beefed up warrior at Lutz in retribution. On his second main, Fernando ends his turn casting a reduced price Okame Adversary, with Jimmy's Hydra gaining another counter. Hidden untaps and starts the plan. He moves to combat and sends everything but the birds at Jimmy, who doesn't block. But before combat damage, Hidden activates Sisay to grab Derevi, who on ETB untaps the birds. Damage then happens, and Hidden gets to untap his lands due to Derevi. Now, this is where things get convoluted, but thanks to editing, you guys get to see the TLDR of it. Hidden gets to activate Sisay again, floating 5 green mana. This gets him a meal. Using a meal and his floating green, he can flicker Derevi to untap the Gaia's Cradle to produce infinite green mana, and then use that for infinite colored mana and treasure. Using this infinite mana, this lets Hidden activate Sisay for all of his legends, the main one being Selvala and Teferi. While Teferi also stops spells, he's also able to bounce Jimmy's Hydra, making Sisay now the largest creature, so that whenever she's flickered, he gets to draw off Selvala. This lets Hidden draw his deck. That, along with a Barin Master Wizard, will clear away Hidden's Archon and Aethersworn Canonist, letting him cast his Thassa's Oracle to win the game. Game review. Oh boy, that was a convoluted turn, but overall congrats to Hidden for winning the game. I do think that overall some biases were showing through the table. I think mtga Lu's general wariness of Najeela did taint the pod into removing her a little too much, and not stopping Sisay. However, Najeela is a scary commander, and after Hidden's Kinnan was removed, Sisay didn't look like much of a threat, well, at least until she won. But Najeela does play really well in the stacks, and with Lutz and Jimmy both playing catch-up from having their soul rings countered, they feared by the time they did establish themselves, Najeela would have already achieved an unstoppable army. As for the last turn, the real question is whether or not Lutz should have held the Crater Maker and not taken Najeela out. If he had held it up, he could have taken out Hidden's Kaelin, preventing him from searching out Derevi, and stopping him from winning on his turn. But that's the question. Who was the threat? I know hindsight is 20/20, but to you the viewers, let me know in the comments down below. Who knows, maybe you have better threat detection than we do. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I just wanted to let you know that we have a TCG affiliate link, and if you ever see a card you want to try or are inspired to brew something new, use our link when purchasing and we'll receive a small portion of the sale. This is a great way to support the channel, and if you enjoyed the gameplay, please leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps us keep making videos. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.